Journey through the solar system. The night settles around you like a soft blanket, quiet and gentle, and the world begins to fade into a hushed stillness. Everything slows, everything softens. Your breath becomes calm, steady, almost imperceptibly smooth, as though the universe itself has begun to breathe with you. There is no rush here, no weight, no demands. Only the slow drifting of thought dissolving into the quiet dark. As your awareness loosens, you begin to notice a faint glow behind your closed eyes, a subtle shimmer like starlight passing through a veil of calm. It brightens slowly, not with urgency, but with the steady patience of something ancient and familiar. You realize you are floating, gently, effortlessly, in a stillness so deep it feels like the fabric of space itself. The ground beneath you dissolves, and the last threads of the waking world unwind like fragile strands of mist. You drift upward slowly, peacefully, as though carried by an unseen tide. And the darkness around you expands, turning into a vast cosmic canvas, deep, infinite, welcoming. You feel no boundaries, no edges, no sense of where you end and the cosmos begins. Only a gentle merging, like water blending with water, as you rise through layers of quiet air into a wider, more tranquil silence. Far below, the faint blue glow of Earth begins to form, a sphere of soft light wrapped in clouds that drift like pale brushstrokes across the surface. The continents are gentle shadows beneath the atmosphere, and the oceans shimmer with quiet blues and silvers, stirring beneath the soft pull of the moon. You hover above it, suspended in a cradle of weightlessness. The curvature of the planet seems impossibly smooth, impossibly peaceful, as though someone has dimmed the universe just enough for you to rest within its center. The air is gone now. The sound is gone. Only a profound, soothing silence remains. The kind of silence that feels alive, vibrant with calm. A silence that embraces rather than empties. A silence that slows your heartbeat, loosens the mind, and allows every thought to drift gently outward, like petals on still water. You rise a little more, drifting further from the earth, and the light around you begins to shift. Stars bloom into sight, one after another, until the sky becomes a dome of shimmering light. Each star feels like a tiny breath, a soft pulse, a quiet whisper, calling you deeper into the cosmic expanse. A gentle, ambient glow surrounds you, not bright, not harsh, but warm like candlelight diffused through fog. The stars appear to breathe with you. Every slow inhale seems to draw them closer. Every gentle exhale lets them drift away, as though the cosmos is matching your rhythm perfectly. You float among them, moving without movement, drifting without intention, carried on a slow current that knows exactly where to take you. You feel safe in this drifting, weightless state, completely secure, completely held by the universe. The earth below shrinks gradually, not disappearing but becoming a soft pearl of blue in the distance. Its glow remains, a quiet reminder of home, of warmth, of familiarity. But here in the vastness of space, nothing feels frightening or unknown. Instead, everything feels softened, slowed, dreamlike, as if the universe itself has dimmed the lights and lowered its voice, preparing for a long, soothing journey through its hidden corridors. You drift sideways now, not by choice, but by a natural, gentle guidance. It feels as though invisible hands are steering your path, moving you in a slow arc across the stars. A faint silver glow appears to your right, a soft reflection of sunlight on pale dust. realize you are drifting toward the moon. It hangs quietly in the darkness, its surface a subtle canvas of grays, ivory, and muted shadows. It doesn't feel cold or distant. It feels ancient, wise, and calm, the quiet guardian of Earth, glowing softly like a lantern watching over its companion. As you drift nearer, the details of the lunar surface sharpen, but not in a way that disturbs the tranquility. The craters appear as gentle indentations, soft curves shaped over billions of years. The ridges are smooth. The plains are wide, still undisturbed. Everything feels slow here, slower even than your own breathing. You float just above the surface, close enough to sense the texture of the dust, but far enough to remain weightless. The moon's gravity brushes against you like a feather-light hand, barely pulling, barely guiding, simply letting you hover in peaceful suspension. From here, the Earth appears elegant, distant, glowing with blues and whites that ripple faintly across the surface. It looks serene, almost like a memory fading into light. You feel no longing, no urgency to return, only gratitude, a quiet appreciation for the view, the stillness, the silence. You drift alongside the moon, circling it slowly like a tranquil orbit. The stars around you glisten with a faint shimmer, each one a small echo of distant fires burning infinitely far away. But they do not feel distant. They feel close enough to touch, close enough to rest your thoughts upon. A gentle shift begins beneath you, subtle at first, like the sensation of turning in a dream. You feel yourself being guided away from the moon, drawn outward, drifting along a soft curve through space. The stars seem to rearrange themselves, forming soft constellations that glow like handwritten notes from the cosmos. As you drift further from Earth's companion, the darkness deepens, but instead of becoming empty, it becomes richer, filled with tiny points of light that shimmer like drifting fireflies. The vastness around you does not feel large. It feels comforting, like a spacious room where your thoughts can unwind without boundaries. The light changes again, subtly shifting from cool silvers to warm, muted golds. At first, you think it might be a distant star flaring softly, but then you feel a faint warmth, gentle and slow, like the memory of sunlight on your skin. You realize you are drifting toward a glowing region of space, where the light seems to move in slow waves. It isn't harsh or bright. It feels like a long exhale of warmth drifting outward from a place just beyond your vision. Shapes begin to form within the glow, soft, swirling patterns that don't yet resemble planets, but something more fluid, more dreamlike. You sense motion without seeing it. You sense warmth without heat, radiance without light. As you move deeper into this golden shimmer, you feel time itself begin to stretch. Moments blend into one another like ink diffusing through clear water. Each second elongates into something soft, something gentle, something that feels like the universe inviting you to let go. Just a bit more, and drift a little deeper. There is no destination, not in the way you once understood it. There is only movement unfolding in slow, graceful arcs. You sense planets nearby, though they do not yet reveal themselves. Their presence is soft, like distant voices humming in harmonic resonance. You continue drifting, carried like a feather through a current of warm light. The golden glow around you thickens, not in a way that blinds or overwhelms, but in a way that softens everything it touches. The stars beyond it blur into gentle halos, like distant candles seen through frosted glass. You feel yourself slowing, as though the very fabric of space has become a tranquil sea, and you are a small, peaceful boat carried along its surface. Ahead of you, within the golden haze, something begins to form. At first, it is only a suggestion, a slightly darker shape within the radiance, a faint curve, a subtle shift. Then gradually it becomes clearer, a world cloaked in soft, swirling clouds, glowing with an inner warmth. You are approaching a planet, but not with the sharp detail of a photograph or the clinical precision of a diagram. You approach it as one approaches a dream, slowly, gently, with the feeling that what you are seeing is as much a reflection of your inner calm as it is an object in space. The clouds that cover this world move in languid spirals, draped in colors that blend into one another. Muted golds, pale ambers, soft creams. They roll and fold in silence, like slow tides made of light. There is something soothing in the way they drift, never hurried, never abrupt, as though the entire atmosphere is exhaling in one long, unbroken breath. You drift closer, and as you do, you sense that you are not meant to land, not meant to disturb the stillness of this place. Instead, you hover within the upper layers of the golden haze, sinking into it the way a thought sinks into sleep. You feel weightless, supported by a cushion of light. The glow wraps gently around you, softening the edges of everything you are. The clouds part slightly beneath you, revealing glimpses of the world below. You cannot see its full surface, but you can sense its depth, its pressure, its intensity, all held far beneath where you float, so that you feel only the calm, cooled echoes of its power. It is like being above a distant storm so far away that all the noise has vanished, and only the slow rotation of the clouds remains. As you drift, the light of this world plays across you in delicate variations, as if you are being bathed in different shades of warmth. Sometimes the glow is pale and soft, like morning light on a curtain. Sometimes it becomes deeper, more honeyed, like the last rays of sun resting on quiet hills. Each shift feels like a new layer of calm settling over you. You listen, not with your ears, but with your whole being, to the silence of this planet. It is not an empty silence. It is full of history, of patient swirling, of endless cycles of wind and light. You can feel the slow, turning heartbeat of the atmosphere, rhythmic and ancient. In its own way, this world has its own breath, its own pulse, its own quiet story of endurance. Time stretches here. Moments lengthen into gentle arcs. You could float in this golden calm forever and never feel the need to move. But the universe, in its soft wisdom, carries you onward. You begin to drift again, slowly rising out of the haze, like a leaf lifted by a very gentle breeze. The golden clouds thin, then fade, and the stars reappear, countless, steady, patient. The planet recedes behind you, becoming once more a softly glowing pearl, wrapped in its endless shroud of tranquil storms. The darkness ahead deepens, but it is a welcoming darkness, a peaceful sea of quiet potential. There is no emptiness here, only space for your thoughts to stretch out, to soften, to dissolve. As you drift, you begin to notice a new presence, far away yet distinct. It is not a single point of light, but a broad, diffuse radiance, like an enormous lantern glowing at the center of everything. It feels familiar, warming something in you that remembers early mornings, sunlight through windows, the gentle comfort of daybreak. You're moving slowly but surely toward the heart of your cosmic neighborhood, the star that has always been there, quietly giving light and heat and life. You are drifting toward the sun. But this is not the sun as it appears from Earth, harsh and bright and impossible to look at. This is the sun as seen from the soft vantage point of dreams, where its light can be approached carefully, respectfully, as if you were visiting a wise elder who has watched over the planets for billions of years. As you come closer, you see that its surface is not a rigid boundary, but a dancing ocean of light. Threads of brightness curl and unfurl, reaching upward in slow, graceful arcs, then folding back into themselves. The patterns move like enormous tides of flame, but in your perception, they are as gentle as the rise and fall of a sleeping breath. There is no burning here, no danger, no heat as you know it, only warmth. A deep, enveloping warmth that seems to radiate not just from the sun, but from within you. It feels like the comfort of a blanket on a cold morning, like the soft touch of a hand on your shoulder, like the certainty that you are held and supported by something much larger than yourself. You do not move directly toward the sun's surface. Instead, you take your place at a respectful distance, where its golden light surrounds you without overwhelming you. From here, you can see the constant, patient motion of its layers, the turning, swirling textures of radiance that never quite repeat themselves, yet always remain familiar. You sense the immense power at its core, but you are shielded by the dreamlike nature of this journey. The sun appears to you not as an inferno, but as a great, glowing heart, beating out light to every corner of the solar system. Each pulse of brightness travels outward, touching the paths of all the planets, the moons, the hidden icy bodies at the edges, and even you, here, floating in its luminous breath. As you watch, the light around you seems to slow even further, until each wave becomes a long, languid swell of brightness, rising and falling in perfect synchrony with your breathing. With every inhale, the glow deepens slightly, as if the sun is drawing nearer, offering you more warmth. With every exhale, the light recedes just a little, never leaving you, only shifting to give your mind space to rest within the rhythm. You find yourself relaxing more deeply, as though the sun's steady radiance is smoothing away any lingering tension. In its presence, worries lose their edges, thoughts lose their urgency. Everything that once seemed sharp and pressing is now distant, softened into shapes that no longer disturb your calm. You understand, in a quiet, wordless way, that this star has seen everything: storms and stillness, creation and destruction, the birth of worlds and the drifting of dust. It has watched planets form, collide, settle into orbits. It has watched comets fall inward and sweep back out. It has watched endless cycles of day and night on a little blue world, where you once lay awake, staring at a ceiling, wondering about the stars. Now you float among those stars, and the sun is no longer an abstract idea. It is here, present, patient. It asks nothing of you, it simply shines. You circle it in a slow, gentle arc, drifting along the invisible path of an orbit that is not your own, but which embraces you all the same. Below you, or perhaps above, in space, such directions are fluid. Waves of bright plasma rise and sink with a grace that belies their power. You feel no need to label, to measure, to analyze. You are simply here, witnessing, resting, easing into the endless heartbeat of light. Eventually, softly, almost imperceptibly, you feel the shift. Not a push, not a pull, but a suggestion. a hint that it is time to move on. The sun remains as it always will, but your drifting path begins to curl outward again, returning you to the cooler, darker regions of space. You carry its warmth with you, a lingering glow settled deep within your chest, like an ember that will never go out. The light around you fades from gold to a softer, more neutral silver, and the stars become clearer once more, each one sharp and steady against the black. You drift in silence for a while, letting the transition happen slowly, gently. There is no rush to reach the next destination. The journey itself is the point, the slow, tranquil passage through spaces where nothing presses on you, where nothing demands your attention. As the sun recedes behind you, you begin to sense another presence ahead. This one is more diffuse, spread out over a wide area, like a vast field of soft shadows and pale tones. The darkness seems thicker here, but not in a way that feels heavy or oppressive. It feels rich, velvety, layered. Within that darkness, faint points of reflected light catch your eye. They glimmer like distant lanterns, moving in slow patterns around some unseen center. As you drift closer, those points of light resolve into shapes, small spheres, each with its own unique glow, orbiting together like a quiet family circling a gentle guardian. You realize you have entered the realm of outer worlds, where distance stretches out and orbits lengthen, where everything moves with unhurried dignity. Here, there are giants and their companions, subtle interactions of gravity and light. Here, the emptiness between worlds is wide, but never truly empty. One of the glowing spheres draws your attention more strongly than the others. It is banded in subtle shades, creams, soft browns, hints of muted reds and grays, wrapped around a body so large that its size bends your sense of scale. It is adorned with rings that gleam faintly, thin but expansive, encircling it in delicate arcs. You find yourself drifting toward it, drawn by its calm, stately presence. Its rings, at first a simple halo, begin to separate into countless individual strands as you approach. They are composed not of solid sheets, but of innumerable tiny pieces, ice and rock and dust, each catching the distant sunlight in its own quiet way. You glide above the plane of the rings, moving slowly through their expanse. Around you, shards of ice and stone drift in ordered paths, each one following its own orbit, yet all of them together forming a vast and intricate pattern. It is like moving through a frozen river of light, where every fragment glimmers and turns in silence. The planet itself looms below, enormous yet softly colored, its atmosphere layered in bands that curl gently around its circumference. There are storms there swirling beneath the clouds, but from where you float, they seem distant, softened by the thickness of the air. They resemble slow-moving brushstrokes on an immense canvas, always in motion, never rushed. The rings extend outward around you like the arms of a cosmic embrace. You feel as though you could drift along them forever, following their curve as they loop endlessly around the planet. Each tiny piece glides on its own path, never colliding, never straying, held in place by a balance so subtle and so perfect that it feels almost like a form of music, a silent, harmonious orbit song. You take your time here. You move gradually, letting the tranquility of this ringed world seep into you. Every moment stretches, slows, lengthens, like a note held just a little longer than expected, allowing its resonance to sink deeper, You watch as shadows fall across the rings, cast by the planet itself. The contrast between light and dark creates ripples of gentle pattern that slowly drift along the icy river around you. Even the shadows here seem calm, content to move across the rings at a pace that invites rest rather than haste. Far off, small moons circle the giant world, each one following its own patient path. Some are icy and bright, glinting like dropped pearls. Others are darker, their surfaces rough and irregular, like ancient stones, smoothed slightly by time. They are companions, ever circling, ever present, forming a quiet ballet around their great host. In this place, the enormity of scale does not overwhelm you. Instead, it reassures you. Everything moves as it should. Everything follows a pattern too vast to grasp, yet simple enough to feel. The rings curve, the moons circle, the planet turns, the star shines from far away, and you, for a time, drift within it all, as much a part of the pattern as any grain of ice or shard of rock. The gentle suggestion to move on comes again, like the faintest tug of a tide. You follow it, not out of obligation, but out of a quiet curiosity, a trust in the path that is unfolding. The ringed planet slowly slips behind you, its halo narrowing, becoming once more a delicate band of light encircling a softly colored sphere. You drift back into the dark, into the wide open spaces between orbits, where distance stretches but never isolates. The stars greet you again, steady and numerous, forming a familiar backdrop to your unhurried journey. You float in their presence, feeling smaller and larger all at once. Small in form, large in awareness, expanded beyond the boundaries of your body. Somewhere far below, or far above, or perhaps simply far away in another direction that no compass could point to, worlds continue their slow, ancient revolutions. Some are rocky and barren. Some are cloaked in thick atmospheres. Some are icy and quiet. You may visit them, or you may simply drift beyond them, letting their presence be enough. You are not here to catalog, to measure, to analyze. You are here to rest in the journey itself, to let the vastness of space cradle your thoughts until they dissolve into something calmer, quieter, softer. You feel your awareness loosening another degree, as though some last layer of wakefulness is finally beginning to let go. The thoughts that once flickered through your mind like restless sparks are now distant, dim, almost entirely dissolved into the surrounding calm. In their place, there is only a soft, expansive presence, your presence, floating within the gentle, dreamlike drift of the solar system. Far ahead, within the darkness, there is a new glimmer, not as bright as the sun, not as broad as a planet, but something distinct, something that calls without insisting. Your journey continues, one slow, effortless movement at a time, deeper into the quiet, deeper into the cosmic calm. And as you drift onward, you feel yourself sinking further into rest. The glimmer ahead grows slowly, almost shyly, as though it wants to be noticed but not approached too quickly. It pulses faintly like a tiny heartbeat in the distance, steady and calm. You drift toward it with no effort, guided by the gentle current that has carried you through each stage of this journey. As you come closer, the glimmer stretches into a soft, pale glow, a delicate halo surrounding a small, icy world. It appears fragile at first, like crystal carved by starlight, but as you approach, you see the quiet resilience it carries. The surface is smooth in places, fractured in others, covered with shining plains of frozen water. that reflect the faint starlight like mirrors laid upon a dark ocean. This world feels quiet on a level deeper than silence. It is a stillness that seems woven into its very ice, a stillness born from long, slow ages of isolation at the edges of the solar system. It is not lonely, only peaceful, content to exist in its quiet orbit, far from the warmth of the sun. You drift low over its surface, gliding across frozen expanses that stretch endlessly beneath you. Cracks in the ice appear like delicate blue veins, glowing faintly from within, hinting at hidden oceans deep below where tides move unseen. The ice seems to hum with that hidden motion, a slow resonance that vibrates through the frozen crust with a softness that feels almost like a lullaby. The world turns beneath you, a slow rotation that gives you glimpses of other regions. Jagged cliffs of ice rise like pale crystal walls, catching the faint starlight in shimmering facets. Smooth plains stretch into the distance, untouched and undisturbed, shaped by nothing more than time and the whisper of distant gravity. Every feature here feels ancient, quietly sculpted, softened by millennia of gentle change. You drift over a ridge where the ice transitions from opaque white to clear, almost glass-like clarity. Beneath the transparent surface, you sense vast depths, still, silent, undisturbed oceans sealed beneath the crust. They glow faintly with a blue-white light, not bright enough to illuminate, but enough to suggest the immensity that lies below. You hover there for a moment, letting the sense of depth wash over you. It feels like floating above a sleeping giant, not a dangerous one, but one that dreams slowly, peacefully, in rhythms longer than human memory. You can almost feel the rise and fall of those deep, hidden tides, as though the world itself is breathing in long, slow intervals. As you drift away from the icy moon, you notice how the light around it fades into a soft, silvery haze before dissolving back into the darkness. It becomes a small point once more, then a tiny shimmer, then a mere suggestion among the stars. But the quiet it carried stays with you, settling deeper into your thoughts. The darkness ahead becomes broader now, more open, more spacious. The stars seem farther apart, though still gentle, still present. The space between them feels softer here, as though the distances themselves were padded with quiet dreams. You drift through this region with an even slower rhythm, as if the universe has intentionally eased your pace, encouraging deeper relaxation with each passing moment. A faint trail of light appears in the distance. It is thin, delicate, almost like a whisper of silver paint brushed across the dark. As you come closer, the trail begins to shimmer, then widen, then fragment into countless glowing particles moving together in a slow, graceful dance. You have entered a region of drifting ice and dust, remnants of ancient formations, fragments of forgotten bodies, tiny wanderers carried by orbits that stretch deep into the outer reaches of the solar system. They drift around you in swarms, not dense enough to threaten, but numerous enough to create a shimmering passageway. They glow with soft reflections of distant starlight, each one turning gently as it moves in a slow spiral. You glide among them, drifting through a cosmic snowfall. The fragments vary in size, some as small as grains of sand, others larger, rounded by countless millennia of drifting through darkness. They rotate slowly, catching light in flashes that resemble the twinkling of fireflies. Everything moves in unhurried waves, as though the entire region has agreed to a pace designed for sleep, for peace, for deep inner stillness. Some fragments drift close to you, but always gently, always with the softness of objects that do not collide, that do not rush, that do not disturb. They pass you by with a kind of quiet dignity, continuing their endless journey through the outer reaches of the solar system without ever questioning their path. You move through the drifting glow for what feels like a long, soothing time. Minutes stretch into something softer, something blurred, something dreamlike. There is no beginning or end to this part of the journey, only a continuous sense of being carried through gentle light. Eventually, the fragments begin to thin, scattering into the wider space beyond. The glow they created fades into a subtle, lingering shimmer, and you find yourself drifting once more through open darkness. But the calm they instill remains, settling in your chest like a warm weight, comforting and steady. The stars here look sharper, more isolated, each one shining alone in a vast expanse. But the loneliness is not cold. It is peaceful, inviting, filled with the sort of quiet that makes rest come easily. The silence seems to deepen, becoming a blanket that wraps gently around your thoughts. As you drift, the darkness ahead begins to flicker with faint, rhythmic pulses of blue light. They are soft at first, like distant lightning behind layers of cloud. But as you move closer, they become more pronounced, blooming outward in slow waves. The pulses illuminate an enormous world ahead, a massive sphere wrapped in deep blue hues, streaked with darker shades and swirling patterns that move like ocean currents in slow motion. The world feels ancient and powerful, yet calm. Its atmosphere churns with storms larger than continents, but from where you float, everything seems slow, gentle, smoothed by distance. Great bands of cloud wrap around it in alternating shades of blue and indigo, turning steadily with the planet's slow rotation. You drift closer, entering the outer layers of its atmosphere, not in a physical sense, but in the dreamlike symbolic way that defines this journey. The clouds become immense, soft structures that curve and fold like billowing waves. Lightning flickers deep within them, illuminating their interiors with brief, pale flashes. But even the lightning seems slow here, each pulse unfolding gradually, gracefully, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The air, or the dream sense of air, around you feels cool, tranquil, carrying the impression of deep oceans and endless depths. You feel as though you are floating above an enormous cosmic sea, watching its tides shift in patterns too grand to comprehend. You drift over one of the planet's vast dark spots, enormous storm systems that span thousands of miles. From afar, they look intense, swirling with immense power, but up close, their motion appears unhurried, almost meditative. The clouds curve inward with a gentle spiral, drawing your gaze deeper and deeper, as though inviting your thoughts to settle into their slow rhythm. You allow yourself to float along the edge of the storm, matching its rotation without effort. The movement is so gradual, so fluid, that it lulls your mind into an even deeper sense of drift. Thoughts that once lingered at the edges of your awareness dissolve completely now, replaced only by the slow turning of clouds, the faint pulse of blue light, and the soft hum of cosmic stillness. Far above the planet, small moons circle in distant arcs, Some shine with icy brightness, others are dark specks against the vast atmosphere. They are companions to this giant, moving with the same slow dignity, each following an orbit that has remained unbroken for millions of years. As you drift away from the storm, you pass through bands of lighter clouds, where the blue softens to gentle grays and silvers. The transitions between colors are smooth, subtle, barely noticeable unless you focus on them. The entire atmosphere feels like a vast painting in motion, its palette chosen specifically to soothe the mind and quiet the heart. You hover for a moment above the uppermost layers, gazing down at the immense world beneath you. The sense of scale soothes rather than overwhelms, reminding you that you are part of something vast, ancient, and harmonious. And then, softly, the same gentle nudge that has guided you throughout this journey returns, inviting you to drift onward. You let the planet recede behind you, watching as its blues deepen and its storms become subtle swirls once more. Eventually, it becomes a distant sphere, glowing faintly against the black canvas of space. The lightning pulses fade into memory, leaving only a soft sense of calm in their wake. The darkness ahead feels wider now, more open, as though you are moving into regions where even the planets seldom tread. The stars stretch more thinly across the sky, each one a solitary beacon in the quiet void. This part of the journey feels like drifting into sleep itself, a place where time expands, where thoughts dissolve, where the boundaries of the self melt into the vastness around you. You have traveled far from the inner solar system, far from the warmth of the sun, far from the familiar paths of planets. Here in the deep, quiet dark, space becomes not a place of emptiness, but a soft cradle for your awareness. You drift without direction, without intention, carried purely by the rhythm of the dream. And with every moment that passes, you feel yourself sinking deeper, softer, quieter. The glow of distant worlds fades behind you. The stars grow fainter, the silence deepens, and the universe holds you gently as you drift onward into its boundless calm. The darkness around you feels softer now, as though even the void has become cushioned, muted, wrapped in layers of quiet. You drift without destination, without pressure, without even the faintest need to decide what comes next. The universe seems to have taken that responsibility from you, cradling you in its arms and carrying you wherever the calm is deepest. Far, far away, you sense the distant pull of the sun, not as a force to obey, but as a quiet memory of warmth, a gentle point of orientation. You have traveled far from it, into the cool outer reaches, where light grows fragile and thin, where heat is a distant idea. Yet even here, so far from the bright heart of the solar system, its touch is not entirely gone. It lingers in the faint shimmer of dust, in the pale glow that edges a distant pebble of ice. In the memory of warmth you still feel resting somewhere deep within your chest. You are moving slowly now, slower than before, as if the currents of space themselves are gradually settling, growing still, inviting you into the same stillness. The stars around you are more widely spaced, each one shining patiently in its solitude. Some are faint, some are stronger, but all of them share that same steady, unblinking presence. A presence that says, there is time. There is always time. There is no need to hurry. Ahead of you, barely visible at first, a faint, pale mist becomes apparent. It is not dense or threatening. It is more like a delicate veil of almost invisible light stretching across your path. As you move closer, it begins to glimmer, dust particles catching what little sunlight reaches this far, turning the space around you into a subtle silver haze. You have arrived at the outer edges of your star's influence, a vast region sprinkled with icy bodies, ancient fragments, quiet wanderers circling in immense, slow orbits. These are the far travelers, the distant companions of your solar system, drifting patiently at the boundary between the warmth of the sun and the deep, unlit ocean of interstellar space. Small, frozen worlds drift around you, some no larger than mountains, others as big as continents. Their surfaces are pale and muted, dusted with frost that has never melted. Craters dot their skin like soft impressions in powdered snow. They move slowly, almost imperceptibly, tracing wide, elongated paths that will take them centuries, even millennia, to complete. You glide gently among them, weaving through their vast orbits like a feather on a quiet breeze. There is no sound here. The silence is profound, complete, yet comforting. It is the kind of silence that asks nothing of you, expects nothing of you. A silence that simply exists, surrounding you like a cocoon. Far beyond this hazy region, the stars appear different. They shine with the same light, but you sense that beyond this boundary, the influence of your sun fades into the broader sea of the galaxy. Out there, other stars hold sway, other worlds circle, other stories unfold. But they are not your concern tonight. Tonight, you are simply a peaceful traveler, resting at the edge of your home, looking out across the endless expanse. You hover for a while at this boundary, feeling the subtle shift between what lies within and what lies beyond. It is as though you are standing at the shoreline of a great cosmic ocean, watching gentle waves of possibility roll in and out. There is nothing you must do. There is nowhere you must go. You can simply be here at the edge of everything you have ever known. Time stretches almost endlessly now. Minutes lose their meaning. There is only the soft sensation of drifting, of being supported, of floating in a space so vast that your worries, your thoughts, your burdens seem impossibly small. So small, in fact, that they begin to dissolve entirely, dissolving into the dark like grains of sand carried away by a slow, gentle tide. You look back in a way that is more feeling than sight, toward the inner regions of the solar system. Though distances here are immense, the path you have traveled seems simple, almost like a slow, meandering line drawn through a painting. Somewhere within that painting is the glow of the sun, the swirl of worlds, the small blue sphere that once filled your entire attention. Now, from this vantage point, everything appears balanced, harmonious, calm. The inner planets, the outer giants, the distant icy bodies, all of them turn and glide in quiet arcs, held in place by invisible forces that ask for nothing and give everything. There is no clash here, no noise, no interruption, only a vast, enduring stillness. For a moment, you imagine the solar system as a single breath, the sun as the center, the lungs, the planets as the gentle expansion and contraction of that breath, the comets, the asteroids, the small icy worlds, as the subtlest ripples at the edges of that breath, always moving, always part of the whole. And you, floating here, are simply resting in the pause between inhale and exhale, hovering in the stillness that contains everything. In that pause, in that stillness, you feel your own breathing match the cosmic rhythm. A slow, gentle inhale, a soft, unhurried exhale, each one becoming longer, calmer, more peaceful. The tension in your body, already diminished, dissolves even further. Your muscles soften, your jaw loosens, your hands relax. Even the small muscles around your eyes, the ones that hold onto tiny unconscious worries, begin to release. You begin to sense, very faintly at first, a subtle shift in direction. Not a jolt, not a turn, simply an almost imperceptible suggestion, like the first hint of a current beneath still water. The drifting changes. The vast outward motion that brought you here gradually becomes a gentle inward motion, as though the universe is beginning to draw you back along the path you traveled, returning you toward the warmth and familiarity of home. There is no regret in leaving this outer quiet. The calm here has become part of you now, nestled in the center of your awareness, where it will stay. As you begin to move inward, the icy bodies, the far fragments, the faint mist of dust all slowly drift behind you, shrinking into distant specks and then into nothing at all. The stars regain their fuller brightness as you travel back toward the sun's domain. Their patterns shift imperceptibly as your vantage point changes. You pass once again through regions where small particles drift, then through the wide emptiness between the giant worlds, then through lanes where distant moons whisper their silent stories in orbits that remain invisible to the eye but tangible to the heart. You do not need to see each world again. You do not need to revisit every place. The impressions of them remain with you. The golden shroud of a cloud-wrapped planet, the rings like frozen rivers of light, the deep blues of swirling storms, the quiet echoes of hidden oceans beneath ice. They pass through your thoughts like soft, gentle recollections, already becoming dreamlike. As you continue drifting inward, the sun's warmth becomes a little more noticeable. Not as heat on your skin, but as a sense of familiar presence. It is the feeling of returning to the center of something, the awareness of drawing nearer to a heart that has always been there, always beating, always shining, whether you were looking at it or not. The sun appears again ahead of you, its light filtered through the dreamlike lens that this journey has wrapped around your perception. It is neither blinding nor harsh. It is a wide, soft glow, golden and calm, radiating a gentle steadiness. You pass near it, gliding through the outer reaches of its light, warmed not in your body but in your sense of being. You do not pause here long. You have already rested in its presence. You simply acknowledge it now as you drift past the center, the source, the quiet anchor of your solar system. Then gradually, you move beyond it, back into the familiar lanes where the inner worlds circle in their close, quick orbits. You sense them more than see them this time, the rocky, cratered faces of small, hot worlds, the dense shroud of cloud-wrapped companions, the red dust plains of far deserts. All of them continue their dance, their patterns unwavering, their paths steady. You pass near, yet not so near as to disturb their quietness. You are simply a fleeting, peaceful guest. Somewhere ahead, a small blue-white glow becomes more distinct. It is different from the stars, softer, rounder, more varied in its hues. It flickers with tiny hints of green and brown and white. It is not as large as some of the giants you have seen, nor as distant as the icy wanderers at the edge, but it holds a kind of warmth, a kind of familiarity that none of the others possess. You are returning to Earth. The blue grows larger as you approach. resolving into swirling clouds, soft oceans, curved continents. The atmosphere wraps the world in a pale, delicate halo, like a thin shell of light holding in all the complexity beneath. From here, the planet does not seem restless or noisy. It seems peaceful, turning slowly, quietly, beneath its layer of clouds. You drift closer still, descending gently through the upper edges of the atmosphere, feeling an almost imaginary whisper of air brush against your awareness. Colors grow richer. The blue of the oceans deepens. The greens and browns of land become more textured. Clouds form shapes that change slowly, lazily as you pass. You allow yourself to sink further, guided by that same invisible, patient current that has accompanied you all along. The globe beneath you is vast, but within that vastness, you are being drawn toward one small place, a quiet room, a darkened space, a familiar bed where a body lies resting, breathing softly in the night. You pass through layers of invisible atmosphere, through the thin and the thick, through the high and the low, moving without resistance. Lights far below begin to glow, tiny clusters faint and scattered, like new constellations laid gently across the surface of the world. They mark cities and towns and small pockets of life, each one its own story. You descend further and the lights grow larger, then blurrier, then disappear as you sink past clouds and rooftops, and finally into the hushed interior of a single room. The room is quiet, the air is still, shadows rest softly in corners. A faint suggestion of outseed light may linger at the edge of a curtain, but it does not intrude. The room feels safe, enclosed, like a small pocket of calm within the larger calm you have just traveled through. There on a bed, beneath the gentle weight of covers, lies your body. You observe it at first from a small distance, as though you are still hovering slightly above, watching with a kind of detached tenderness. You see the slow rise and fall of your chest, the stillness of your hands, the relaxed weight of your limbs against the mattress. The journey through the solar system, through the rings and storms and icy edges, begins to feel like a dream you had somewhere very far away, yet the peace it brought remains entirely real. You can sense it waiting for you inside that resting body, waiting to settle into each muscle, each tendon, each quiet cell. You feel yourself gently, slowly, drifting downward toward it. There is no impact, no jolt, no sudden merge. The transition is as soft as a sigh, as gentle as sinking into warm water. You simply begin to notice that where you once felt separate, a point of awareness floating above, you now feel joined. The perspective moves from looking at your body to feeling it from within. You become aware of the mattress beneath you, supporting your weight. You become aware of the soft pressure of the pillow beneath your head, cradling you. You notice the warmth under the covers, the way the fabric rests lightly against your skin. The air in the room touches you with a neutral coolness, neither too warm nor too cold, just right for rest. Your attention briefly touches your feet. They feel heavy, pleasantly heavy, as though they have finally decided they no longer need to move. The heaviness is comfortable, like stones settled at the bottom of a clear pool. That same heaviness spreads slowly into your legs. Your calves relax, your knees soften, your thighs sink deeper into the bed, the muscles unwinding with each unhurried breath. There is nothing for them to do now. They can simply rest. Your hips, your lower back, Any small tightness that remained begins to uncoil, gently, lazily, like a rope slowly loosening. The mattress supports you, accepting all your weight without complaint, allowing every part of you to let go. Your attention drifts up along your spine, noticing how each segment feels more relaxed than the last. Your mid-back softens. Your upper back spreads gently across the bed. Shoulder blades no longer held tight, but easing outward, finding their natural, restful position. Your shoulders themselves release another layer of tension, dropping slightly toward the mattress, the muscles that held them up all day, finally deciding they can surrender to gravity. The sensation is subtle, but you may notice it. A small, almost imperceptible shift into deeper ease. Your arms feel heavy now, in the same comfortable way as your legs. Your upper arms, forearms, wrists, all of them rest easily, the weight of them supported entirely by the bed. Your hands unclench, fingers naturally curling or lying open, no longer gripping at anything, no longer reaching for anything. They can be still. Your neck is relaxed, held gently by the pillow. Any small effort that once held your head in place has dissolved. Your jaw is loose, your tongue resting softly in your mouth, not pressing against your teeth or the roof of your mouth, just floating in its natural position. Your lips are relaxed, neither pressed tightly together nor forced apart. The small muscles around your eyes soften. Your eyelids rest lightly over your eyes, not forced closed, just comfortably settled. The space between your eyebrows smooths out, releasing any faint furrows that might have lingered there. Your face as a whole feels calm, at ease, unoccupied with expression. You are not wearing any emotion now. Not on your skin, not in your muscles. Everything is simply resting in neutrality, in peace. Your breathing continues in a slow, steady rhythm, the same rhythm that matched the pulses of stars, the rise and fall of distant clouds, the rotation of planets around their quiet star. Each inhale arrives on its own, without effort. Each exhale leaves gently, lengthening slightly, carrying away any remaining traces of tension. The journey you took from Earth to the Moon, through the inner worlds, past the sun, across the domains of giants and icy wanderers, to the distant edge of the solar system and back, now settles inside you as a feeling rather than a story. A feeling of vastness, a feeling of gentle insignificance, and deep belonging at the same time. A feeling of being part of something ancient, harmonious, and calm. You are back in your bed, but you are also still drifting, in a way, held in the same universal silence that surrounds planets and stars and the spaces between them. The room around you feels like a small, cozy version of that space, a miniature cosmos designed for rest. Thoughts, if they come at all now, are slow and soft-edged. They appear briefly, then dissolve on their own, like small clouds dispersing in a high, quiet sky. You do not need to push them away. They simply drift past, unimportant, unanchored. The weight of your body, the calm of your breathing, the quiet of the room, all of it merges into a single sensation of being deeply, profoundly at rest. You have traveled far tonight without moving at all. You have drifted through cosmic distances without leaving your bed. You have watched worlds turn, storms swirl, rings shimmer, and icy plains glow, all while your body lay safely supported, wrapped in warmth and shadow. Now there is nothing more you need to do. No more places to visit, no more sights to witness, no more paths to follow. universe continues its slow, patient motion around you, but you are free to let go of awareness of it, to sink into a place even quieter, even softer, even deeper. If sleep has not already come, it is very close now, hovering just at the edge of your awareness, ready to gather you in its arms. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to invite it. You only need to allow it, the way you allowed yourself to drift through space. Inhale, slowly, gently. Exhale, slowly, fully. The bed supports you. The night holds you. The universe hums quietly in the distance, steady and unchanging. You are safe. You are small in the best possible way. Small enough to rest entirely in the hands of something vast and kind. Your thoughts become lighter. Your awareness softens. And as you continue to breathe, slowly and calmly, you begin to slip without effort, without struggle, into deep, unbroken sleep. The solar system drifts on in its eternal peaceful dance. And you now drift into the quietest part of all. Sleep well, traveler. Rest deeply. The stars will be here when you wake.